Evening, guys. Popping on. Right, who've we got? We got Rhino Strongman in the chat, which means he's definitely going to ask me who the strongest strongman is. Nicole, who is a gamer girl, is in the chat. Josh Wardell, the man who's going to ask me about how great his bench press is, nonetheless. How are we all getting on? Nathan, evening, mate. Yes, Lloyd. You okay, pal? Good to see you, mate. Hope you're ready for your match coming up, pal. Good. All right, so we got a few people in. Yeah, basically, guys, I get sent loads and loads of questions all the time. People quizzing me in the gym, out the gym, everything else. So, thought we pop on and see if people want to lead a discussion, see if people want to have a chat about anything training related. People want to chip in, give me anything that you want me to talk about, and yeah, let's go. So, any questions you guys have got? What sort of work have you been doing, Lloyd, for your training for your match, pal? Favorite strongman and why? I assume we're talking pro strongman this time and not the clowns at our gym. You know what? I've always had a soft spot for Felix. Just his ability to keep going, and I suppose just that versatility and not letting age get in the way. The fact that he's competing with the bigger guys, but always maintained a lighter frame. Yeah, guy's just smashing his full-time job, going out, still competing. So I always had a massive respect for Matt Felix. How long until you're the number one undisputed hand holder in the UK? That's a tough one. So a message off Josh asking when I'm the number one arm wrestler, which I assume he means in my weight class, because it's probably not. It's definitely not going to happen in the others, I imagine. I would like to place top 3 at the nationals this year. On left arm, of course, because my right arm needs amputating. I would like to place top 3 at the nationals this year. I would like to be thinking about number 1 next year. So, yeah, 2025, man, 2025. We're aiming for number 1 at national champs, so it'll be November at the end of next year. I think that'll be the day. Yes, Lloyd. Yeah, I've seen bits of you training on your your cable setup at your place. I'm assuming you do table work with the club as well. I don't see much table work from you, so. But yeah, mate, 86 kilo for me. I spend most of my time in the low 90s, maybe like 90 to 93. I was very, very heavy for nationals last year. So before dieting, before nationals last year, I was 96, and then at that stage, I dropped off 10 kilo to make weight. It was a tough diet. I pissed everyone off in the gym in about the last month of it. So yeah, it was tough. And then after that, when I was getting ready for Stanley, I only went back up to about 90. So through December, January, I was 90, and I started dieting for Stanley about 5 weeks out, and made 85 kilo for that match. This time round, I told Paul that I would not be making weight for a while. So when I went against Carl, I was about 90 on the dot. I would say I'm about 92 at the moment. So yeah, creeping up, which means the diet this year, next time it happens, which I think is pretty soon, depending on what events are coming up. But the diet this year is probably going to be a little bit harder. But yeah, I'm floating around 92 right now. Rick thinks that Eddie Hall seems like a chilled out bloke. Yeah, he definitely seems really chilled out when he's driving around in his tank. So yeah, definitely. No, I have mixed feelings about Eddie Hall. I felt good about him as a strongman, and then the moment he came out of strongman, I I felt like he was just a bellend. Obviously, he's a bit about his exposure and YouTube and everything else. But I felt like Eddie, I don't know, like another side of him came out when he was prepping for the fight, and he just seemed like a bully. He was like literally on TV, supposed to be commentating the strongman, talking about crap to do with Hathor. So I lost a bit of respect for him around that time. No table time for you, Lloyd. That's fair, mate. Hopefully you can get a bit in down the line, mate. I appreciate that as well. I with my left arm against Carl prior to that match, I hurt my rotator cuff at some point during the match with Stanley. I don't know when it happened, but I didn't feel it. Obviously won the match and then went back to the hotel and I couldn't get my arm like up to my shoulder. So I didn't really pull properly on my left arm for about 3 weeks. And then, so when I was going into the match with Carl, I'd only been back arm wrestling on my left properly for 2 weeks. And I felt quite weak. And that's obviously, you know, I'm not saying that I was stronger or weaker than my max. It's hard for me to say, but I didn't feel 100% going into the match with Carl, but I'm feeling 100% now. So I'm looking forward to my match with Ryan. So we'll see what I've got. But yeah, my left is feeling very good right now. Cat, best exercises to grow the glutes. I'll probably refer to some of the data that's come out from electromyography standards. We know from, I mean, it was originally from some of Brett Contreras' work that he did. You guys can access it in, it was a series on T Nation where his papers got published called Inside the Muscle. You can find the raw data on Google Scholar and stuff though. And I think off the top of my head, Kat, the exercises on there, obviously the reason Brett made the Scorcher hip thrust and his hip thrust machine was he designed it to get key muscle activation in the hip thrust. So you're probably looking at variations of a barbell hip thrust being up there for like the top level. Following that, you're going to be looking at some form of deep squatting, and possibly in the realms of a sumo deadlift. And the reason I'd say these three would be that the ones that can get the most mechanical tension. So it's not just all about the time. It's not just all about the burn and things like that. You know, you need that mechanical tension through the muscle. The reason that the hip thrust is optimal is because the most important part for growth in the glute chain when you're using it is posterior pelvic tilt. So the ability to roll your bum underneath. And when you lock out a squat or lock out a deadlift, it's not loaded for you to posterior tilt because the weight is through your center of mass. So yeah, the optimal will be a barbell hip thrust because the posterior pelvic tilt is loaded. So that's what I would say there, Kat. Josh, what are most people getting wrong with their nutrition in your opinion? Are we talking? I assume we're talking clients and not coaches. Uh, like how people coach nutrition. Um, no, if it's clients, my answer to that question would be that they think they know how much they're eating and they don't. I have loads and loads of people who say to me, "Oh, I just eat 2,000 calories," and I said, "Oh, cool. When did you track that?" And they're like, "Oh, never. I just." And they're like, okay, so you're just eyeballing something. You've got no idea what your portion size is. You've got no idea what's in that food, and you're trying to eyeball it and make up a number. So I would probably say it is an error in tracking or lack of tracking initially. I think once you've been tracking for a period of time, you'll then have the ability to eyeball it a little bit better. But yeah, my answer to that question, Josh, would be that people don't know how much they're eating and they make assumptions into how much they're eating. And that makes our job real hard as well, because we have to stand there and call you a liar. So, you know, when people are saying to us that they're only eating, like, you know, that they're like 20 stone and, oh yeah, I just eat 1,300 calories a day and I'm not losing weight, we have to be there and be like, are you sure it's 1,300? You know, how are you tracking that sort of thing? Sorry, Rhino, I missed your message, mate. Favorite member of the gym and why is it me? Oh, who's my favorite member? Rhino, at the moment, I don't feel like I see you enough for you to be my favorite, pal. You're not in as much at the moment. We've been missing you, pal. Who is my favorite member of the whole gym? Not to be biased at all. I don't know. It's definitely not the people that Zena bark at, because if Zena don't trust him, I don't trust him. Don't trust Tyler, Tom, Raph, because Zena don't like him. They're nearly banned if she gets more angry at him. But no, I don't know who my favourite is, pal. I hate you all. Chris, how do you recommend optimizing weight training around having a life outside the gym and office job? Yeah, that is a good question. Optimizing your training around actually having a life and having a busy job. I have something that I try and use with people called minimum behaviors, and I try and use this with myself as well. So my life can get quite hectic as well, but what I struggle with some levels of muscle soreness and things from the arm wrestling. I always tell people to have a minimum, and this is a minimum amount of sessions that you do, no matter how busy your life is, you are going to fit it in. For some people, that minimum might be one. For some people, it might be two. It might be three. I don't know. That's up to you. My minimum is actually doing no weight training at all. So my minimum amount of sessions, if shit hits the fan and I can't do it, is that I arm wrestle twice a week, because my priorities are my sport. So if I'm too busy or anything else, I still arm wrestle twice a week. They're my minimums, and if I can fit the other sessions in around soreness, everything else, then bonus. But yeah, that's my recommendation, is to sit and look at your life and decide what the minimum amount that you can do is, and then commit hard to that, and then have other sessions outside of the minimum that are like your extra sessions. And if all goes well, life goes well, everything's cool, you go and do the extra sessions as well. So you'll feel less pressure because they're optional. You'll feel less guilt for missing them because you got your minimums in. Overall, you'll be happier. If you're going through any sort of coaching protocol, you need to discuss this. You need to make sure that you decide, say you've got 4 sessions planned, which 2 are your, assuming it's 2, which 2 are your minimum sessions and which 2 are your optional sessions. So that'd be my answer there, pal. Also just planning things as well. So, you know, what can you do and where? So if you're going away, going out of town, can you still train? How are you going to make that happen? So that sort of thing as well. Expectation wise, to your second part of your question, is expect yourself not to make the same progress. You know, if you are used to making a certain level of progress, doing 4 times a week consistently all the time, you can't expect the same level of progress if you're putting less in. But you probably feel fresher each session because you're not training as much. So you might be able to up the percentages a little bit, and lift a bit heavier each session because you're doing less per week. So something around there. Nathan, are there any plans to introduce beginner strongman sessions like the women have? I would love to, pal. Let me tell you why I did the women's strongman session or strong women session. I noticed that our participation in strongman for the women was just like miles better. They sell out the competitions, they smash the competitions, they come and compete in force, they support each other massively, and as a result of that, I just noticed that that environment was happening. I noticed that loads of them was wanting to compete. I had loads of girls that I was coaching that I could see both the Joshes coaching, and I just thought, you know what, we can get a team out of this. So that was the reason that them sessions were specifically for the women, is because I saw the need for them. So because I saw that need for them, I was literally like, okay, sweet, let's nurture it. If I get enough interest from the guys, Nathan, I'll get that on. I can't guarantee that I'll be running it just because I'm pretty busy. But I can sort it out. We can get it happening. So maybe we'll put the feelers out there and see if there's a scope for it. Steve Jones, howdy mate. Do we intend in the future to expand Bionic? Maybe you know Liverpool. I'm going to tell you something right now, Alison. Bionic is never coming to Liverpool. We no, definitely not. If we expand Bionic, it'll be to people that we can understand, because we want to make sure that they can understand us when we're putting our rules out in the gym, you see, and the very different languages. So no, I'm joking. If we expand, Alison, it'll be to Manchester Town Centre. That'll be the case. We won't be leaving Manchester anytime soon, and if we expand, I want to be in a place where me and Josh can get between both places nice and fast, if necessary. So any expansion would be into Manchester Town Centre if we was to make a second site. And you never know, maybe in the future. Avril, thank you for coming. Biggest lesson learned: opening your own gym. There's always more jobs to do, and there's always more money to spend. That's probably my two things there is the biggest ones to learn. Our jobs have never stopped. You know, if you're gonna open your own gym, you need to find yourself a Josh. And what I mean by a Josh is you want to find yourself someone who's got ADHD and can't fucking sit down, so that they just run around and do shit all day. It's dead. It's really good. It really helps me out a lot. But yeah, jokes aside, there's always more jobs to be done. And without the guys around me helping out, I wouldn't get them done. You know, without people like Denise, who runs around and does all the extra things around the gym that no one sees. Without Josh doing everything he does, and without the work that I put in, it definitely won't be going. I didn't mention Kat in that because she does absolutely fuck all. So yeah, apart from maybe like one Instagram post every now and again. Nicole, most underrated lift and exercise that people should be doing: bench press. Definitely bench press. There's not enough people bench pressing. No, I don't know. What exercise should more people be doing? I would say I'm just going to go back to what I already said at the start, on the previous answer, is that probably everyone should be hip thrusting with a barbell, and I think some of the girls do it. I think that most can't be bothered setting it up, or the pain of the barbell and not having a good pad sucks, so they don't like it. If you look on our leaderboard, we have no men that barbell hip thrust in the gym, even though we all know that women love a good ass on a guy. So yeah, I would probably say for everyone it's barbell hip thrusts. It helps the core lifts, so you know it helps you squats, it helps you deadlifts. It's very pivotal for your physique. It supports the healing of lower back pain. and it's optimal for developing the glutes. We know how important posterior chain is for all sporting development and things like that. Yeah, barbell hip thrust is my answer to that. Chris Charles, regarding strongman aiming to get to national level, can you do that naturally, or is enhanced the only real option in your opinion? Yeah, we're getting into some interesting questions now. Chris, can you do it naturally, pal? If you are a genetically gifted freak towards strongman, yes, you can get to a good national level naturally. If you have all the genetics in the right place, you've got the work ethic and everything else, you'll be able to get to that level naturally. I think that the percentage of people that can do that are very, 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 very minimal. So I would say for most, it's not possible to get there unless assisted and enhanced. I'd say for a very, very small percentage, yes, it's possible. So if we're talking about sheerly, is it a possible thing that can happen? Yes. Is it a possible thing that the average person can do? I'm going to say no. That's just my opinion. I would say the majority of people would need to be an assisted athlete to reach that level of performance. That's my view. So I hope that helps, pal. No, Rhino, that's not you. I'm kidding. I don't know, man. I don't know about yourself, pal. It's hard to say what someone's potential is without seeing a lot of them. So I hope it's you, mate. I hope you can make that happen, pal. Cat is currently back in the gym. No. We all know that Josh likes to try and get home like way before 8 o'clock, so he's definitely not vacuuming right now. But in them hours between 12 and 4, that guy's a whirlwind of action. Yeah, and around that as well. But I'm just messing. Feel so seen. You should do, mate. I appreciate you every day. Reverse hypers, Lloyd. Yeah, man. Great exercise. We sold our machine, and that's just because it was a liability. But yeah, reverse hypers are sick. It's definitely a great exercise. Alison, why or when should athletes start being assisted, and what, in your opinion, should they start on? So when and why? I've got a very specific opinion about this. I've actually changed my opinion. My opinion used to be that you should never even think about touching any assistance until you've reached your natural potential. So until you've trained hard for a long time and you've reached your absolute potential of where you can go on your own, then you can start playing with it. That, you know, if it's important to you, like if you want an outcome that's impossible for you to get on your own, if you want an outcome that you can get on your own, then get it on your own every single time. If you want an outcome that you can't get on your own, then you probably have to go down that route. But my opinion used to be that you should reach your natural potential first. My opinion is a little bit different now, unless apart from if someone is non-competitive. So if someone wants to be competitive, you have a life within that sport and you have an optimal age within that sport, depending what you're doing. So if you want to be competitive in something like, if we go back to the previous question, like strongman, you will have a peak age, and your training time, for the majority of people who become a high level is somewhere between 5 and 10 years. So assuming it's going to take you a decade to get to your peak, if your aim is that peak and you definitely want to get there and it's not possible to do on your own, you should probably start sooner rather than later for the pursuit of your sport. Is that a good thing to do from a health perspective? No, it's not at all, because the majority of what we do for sport is not healthy, whether it's assisted means or whether it's the normal behaviors we do, like excessive dieting and all this stuff. But no, it's not the great thing to do for health. But if the sport means that much to you, then you should start sooner rather than later, in my opinion. In terms of what's my opinion on what they should start on, Just first state that what I say is not a recommendation for anyone and not for them to do anything. I would avoid oral steroids as much as possible from the damage that they can cause. And I think the majority of people would do well starting on low dose testosterone. And I wouldn't even touch a steroid, like an actual anabolic steroid, for a long time, depending on the goal. Steve Jones. So it's been asked already. How do people? What's my best piece of advice to stick into a diet? Planning. We tend to make mistakes when we have options. So when you have choices that you can make that have not already been pre-planned, that's when the mistakes come in. So if you get home and you think, what should I eat tonight? And you're on a diet, you're more likely to go eat something crap or go order a takeaway or something like that than if you already know what you're eating and it's in the fridge and it's ready, you're good to go. So my advice for that, mate, is just planning. It's just put the pieces in place before the time occurs. My diet goes really easy when I make weight because I get all my food off Denise at the Power Bar Cafe. So for me, it's in the fridge, it's ready to go. So for myself, it's super easy. But and that's helped me make weight massively. But that's, financially that might not be viable to everyone. But what I'm telling you is that it's not the fact that I get the food from there that makes it work. It's the fact that I already know what I'm eating and it's there and it's ready for me to go. Of course, you can prepare food as well. It doesn't have to be ready for you to like chuck in a microwave, but you should have the things in to make that happen. If you come home, you go, oh, I would have this, but I haven't got this in. Oh, I'd have this, but I've not got that. You're on the path to messing it up. So planning, yeah, just plan everything, mate, and you'll find it much easier. I tell some of my clients that struggle to understand the calories that they're putting in to actually, when they lie in bed at night and they're usually in scroll mode, I say go on your whatever you're tracking your calories with, like your MyFitnessPal, whatever you're using, go on that and plan your next day of food. So you already know what you're having, and then instead of eating impulsively, you just follow the plan. You can get it up like a shopping list and go, oh, right, it's 9 o'clock, I'm eating this. So I tell people just to do that. It makes it miles easier. Nicole, how do people train around and fix injuries and not fall off a cliff if they're broken? Asking for a friend. I know you're asking from your recent whiplash. My answer for yourself in your situation, and my answer for this in general, is going to be two different things, because whiplash is its own beast in itself, which is why when it happened, I try to support you a lot with it, because I know how it can progress and escalate. Train around and fix injuries. So fixing injuries, first of all, it's a matter of figuring out what the problem is. And then in terms of fixing injuries itself, we tend to go through three pathways. Three things that you have to tick off. Number one is control inflammation. So make sure inflammation is under control, and that will mean that you're not getting flare-ups. So when you've controlled inflammation, it means you might get pain in a certain place, like say if it's your shoulder, but it's not like, oh, get out of bed and it's worse and then it gets a bit better through the day. That's an inflammatory flare-up. So first of all, control inflammation. Once you know that's under control, you get range of motion back. And that's just generally through opening your movement pattern, and then with some exercise you can do to do that that's specific to the joint or muscle or issue you have. And then the final one is get that range of motion strong again. So they're the three. Some people skip to getting it strong again before they've controlled inflammation. So then they start training on it and then it re-inflames, and then they think it's better, and then they train on it and then it re-inflames, and they keep skipping stage 2 and they keep not getting inflammation under control. So that would be the one. So yeah, get inflammation under control, whether that's through rest, whether it's through supportive massage techniques and things like that, whether it's through medications that may be required. Mobilize the joint, get range of motion back through very low loaded exercises. and then strengthen it. That's the pathway. Whiplash is different, similar to why sciatic pain is different. When a nerve has been aggravated, everything can be better. The compression could have stopped if it was compressive. Everything could be better, but that nerve just needs time. So sometimes you're just on a clock. And unfortunately, whiplash is in that pathway. So that would be fixing injuries, so to speak. Training around them would literally be systematically find exercises that don't cause you problems and set yourself goals within them exercises. These exercises may not be the ones that you currently enjoy, may not be the ones that you are trackable for you now. Find some exercises that you can do and then get the most out of them exercises. That's how you train around an injury. It might not be optimal, but you're doing something and you're doing stuff. Great power bar plug. Yeah, I've got you, man. I've got you. It's changed my life genuinely. Nathan, can we change the wacky warehouse mirror in the strongman, strongwoman room? Right, okay, that mirror. First of all, you've got nerve asking me to change that because you're the one who put the crack in it from hitting it with a log. So you've got some nerve saying that, pal. Right, in terms of the mirror, we got the first mirror that's at the dumbbell rack, and that's the true Funhouse mirror where we absolutely love that Funhouse mirror. And we got some amazing pictures. And at that stage, it healed itself. So, and we were really, really upset. And now that mirror is actually pretty okay. So then when we put the new mirror up, the one in the back room, we feel like it might heal itself. So it's staying up for a while, Nathan, until we see if it self heals. If it doesn't self heal, there'll just be no mirror there, mate. So we may as well use the wall space. I'm not getting a glass mirror there again. We already anticipated the glass mirror breaking. And just as a note, because he's in the chat, I put no blame on Rhino for that at all. Things happen. We already knew it was going to break. He was just the unfortunate culprit that threw himself into it. So, and we were all very grateful that he was okay and like relatively uninjured afterwards. But yeah, if the Funhouse mirror in the strongman room doesn't heal itself, it'll be taken off the wall, and we'll probably use that space for something else. We've had a few people who have asked for things like medal and trophy places, so maybe we could use it there. I don't know, but yeah, if it don't heal, there will not be a mirror there. Since opening your gym, who do you feel has made the most progress? Ooh, that's a tough one, isn't it? We've got some members that have come a long, long way in many, many aspects. Who's made the most progress is a very, very tough one to call. And obviously, we're talking things like physique and strength and stuff like that as well. I feel like not just since opening the gym, but since starting with her, I would probably say that like Sophie, that I train, has made absolutely tremendous progress in terms of changing her physique and her performance level. So I would say, yes, her progress has been outstanding and very impressive. I'm also, this is tough for me, Chris, because I know more about my clients than everyone else in the gym, I suppose. So I'm going to talk about my clients predominantly. So apologies, pal. I'm going to talk about Tom as well. Tom's made some phenomenal progress. You know, he went from what was essentially maybe like a 200 kilo deadlift around when the gym opened up till about 250. Which he's done in, you know, maybe like a year and a half. So I'm looking forward to seeing 300 go up in the future. They're two of the people that stand out to me as some of my clients that I just know that have really, really put some serious effort in and smashed it. But I don't want to. I don't want to sell anyone short. Like, I see everyone doing amazing stuff all the time. I see everyone pushing real hard all the time. So, yeah. They're two of the people that jump into my mind, pal. Chris, if Bionic Strength Group Incorporated Limited was sponsored, Who would you want to be the sponsor and why? Are we talk? So I'll come back to this question when you answer me. Are we talking about a company that is sponsoring us, like a clothing company, a supplement company? Specify whether it's that. Are we talking about a person who's like sponsor, like kind of like wearing our stuff? So let me know what you mean by your question, and then I'll come back to that. Do both. Okay, fair. Again, I'd probably be a little bit selfish, and probably want people that are relative to myself. But I'm really happy with the kind of partnership we've made with Diamond Theory for our clothing. So, if we're talking about a clothing brand, I want to make our relationship with them even better. So I would love for more things to happen between us and Diamond Theory. They're also a growing company as well, and we're a growing company. So I would like us to be supporting each other along the way. So rather than jumping on the bandwagon of someone else who, is already there and done some great stuff, I would like us and Diamond Theory to continue growing together. I think that would be myself as like a clothing company sort of thing. Don't really know about a supplement company. I'm not really bothered about a lot of that stuff. In terms of an individual that I would want to be working with us, associated with us, we've already had some great people coming into the gym already. So, we've got Shane from MST's come down. We've got Paul Smith, who was using the gym on a regular basis. So these are all people that have been associated with us and they know the brand. They push the brand. Obviously, Paul came and refereed for us, which was a big compliment. I would love to get some of the strong woman girls who were at the top of the sport involved and coming down as well. So these are all people that I would love involved, and I would love to get some very, very high level arm wrestlers down as well. So I'd love to get some people who are on the world scene down doing some stuff at the club as well. But yeah, I hope that helps, pal. Let's have a look. Cat, potential muscle gain for older females that have been training for a while per month. So how much muscle would they gain per month, are you asking? And the best amount of surplus to support muscle gain. So females in general are going to, gain less muscle than us guys do, so they get a little bit of a harder time from that perspective. At baseline, it rather than the age of the individual, it tends to matter more on their training age. If these are untrained women, I would expect them to get about 3 or 4 kilo a year. So yeah, you're right, 3 or 4 kilo a year. So if you want that monthly, you're talking about a quarter of a kilo a month, something like that. Max, that'd be for year 1. You can pretty much half that for year 2, and for year 3 and 4, pretty much half it again. So their overall muscle building capacity might be about 8 to 10 kilo on top of their frame that they currently have if they're untrained. And I'd say they can achieve that if they work hard within about 4 years. So yeah, think about the math there, Kat. You're looking at 8 to 10 kilo over 4 years. Year 1 probably being about a quarter of a kilo in a month. Year 2, if you half that and you did about 0.12 kilo a month, and you can keep halving that for additional years. But one thing I want to make clear is that this assumes that you are on point with your training every week and your nutrition every week. I have clients who say to me like, why am I not progressing as much as I might want to, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because you keep being off. You keep going away for a week all the time. You keep having 3 days off the gym for whatever reason. And you have great reasons why that happens, but your body doesn't care. So even though you've got a great reason why you can't train this week, back to maybe Chris's question earlier about a busy office life and things, even though you might have a great reason why you can't train, your body doesn't care. All it knows is the stimulus that it gets exposed to. And unfortunately, then progressions we just talked about, if the consistent effort's not there week on week, not only do you not gain that 0.2 kilo of muscle, you might lose some of it. So, depending what behaviors are being engaged in. So, yeah, it's got to be consistent, and that's what you could maybe expect. Where am I up to? Lloyd, did I change my diet and PED stack for arm wrestling? Just curious to see if the PED stack would be similar across different disciplines. No, mate. What I do has been relatively the same. My diet off season is that I pretty much eat anything I want, and I make sure that I'm pretty much in surplus most of the time. So I very, very gradually gain weight. That's what I do most of my off season. I always make sure my protein intake is around somewhere over 2 grams per kilo. I pretty much eyeball it nowadays. And then when I start dieting, I tend to do some tracking, and then I come off the tracking and eyeball it once I feel confident that I know what I'm doing. So my diet's been pretty much the same for arm wrestling, pal. Performance sport is performance sport, and it's relatively similar. In terms of the drugs that I've used, in the past, when I did strongman and I reached my peak. So throughout my whole powerlifting career, I was natural. I was never an assisted athlete as a powerlifter. When I went into strongman is when I became an assisted athlete. But I'll be honest with you, I the knowledge for that side of stuff was not what it is now for me. So I did make some silly mistakes as well. But when I was at my strongest, my key things that I did was testosterone, DECA, and in strongman I took a whole barrage of oral steroids as well. So when I prepared for what was effectively back then Britain's Strongest Man, which was a Galaxy Strongman event, that was 2016. When I prepared for that show, I was doing way too much stuff. I was in a bad way. I was doing testosterone, DECA, and I had a blend tablet which had Anadrol, Dianabol, Winstrol, and Anavar in as a blend. At that point, I was roughly doing about 2.5 grams per week, which is not a smart decision at all. I was the strongest I'd ever been, but at that time, I was like the partner that I was with at the time, I was at her house, and at least once a week I would have diarrhea while vomiting in at the same time, pretty much, where basically my liver was just in a bad way. So I made a vow to myself when I came away from strongman that I wasn't going to do that to my body again. I likely caused some substantial damage at that point in time. And the autoimmune disease I have now very well may be self-triggered from some of them behaviors that I did in the past. I don't know if that's the case or not. So I've not took the same stuff in arm wrestling that I have in strongman at all, Lloyd. Since I've been arm wrestling, I stick with the same, which is my same testosterone dose. My testosterone dose is never higher than 600 milligrams a week. Most of the year, it's 300. Sometimes when I'm having a break, it's 150. I never come off at all. And I'll go up to 600 and I never go above that. And I sometimes I've run equipoise and sometimes I've run DECA. So yeah, and I've run them at about 400 milligrams a week. So the most I ever take now compared to the past is 1 gram a week. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, mate, about that side of stuff. Again, I said I'd be very, very transparent, and that's the behavior I do. I never take more than that, and most of the time I am lower than that. So yeah. Apart from recently, because I've had so many matches back to back that I've not wanted to come off from what I was doing, so I have been on for too long right now. Next question. Darren is the cave troll, by the way, and he progressed to not being able to bench anymore. Yeah, that's a normal progression in arm wrestling from the tendonitis, pal. So enjoy that. One day you'll bench again, I promise. Chris Charles, is there one piece of equipment, money, no object? What would you buy? mate, we've got everything. Like everything that I would want, we've got. And the things that we don't have, we're getting. So, Chris, the thing that we want to do is our limitation is space. I want to change some of the machines we've got to dual function machines. So I want the leg extension to be a leg extension and a lying leg curl. That's going to happen this year. I want the lat pull down to be a lat pull down that's also a low row. That's going to happen this year as well. So they're two of my big things I want to change. I want to have a decline bench press that is also changeable to an incline bench press. Maybe that'll happen this year too. I'm not sure. Some of the other little bits and bobs that I want, money's not really the thing that's stopping us. We're just being patient. I want to get the Cerberus Kratos bar. So we can see more floppy barbells in action in the gym. So that's something that I want to invest into the strongman side. So yeah, there's a range of stuff where we want to get more competition plates for the powerlifting side of the gym as well. Josh has got his head on replacing every bumper plate in the gym. He wants like all super nice plates. So yeah, we got loads of things in our head, man. Our plan is not to make money out of the gym. If the gym gets busier, if we make more money, we will invest more money. None of us take a profit from the gym whatsoever. Everything just gets reinvested. So the better the gym does, mate, the faster this equipment will come in. Alison, any women you know managed to bench 100 kilo yet? Yep, we got you the 100 kilo bench, Alison, but you didn't do it in my gym, which means it doesn't count and it's not a PB. So unlucky. Yeah, you're still the biggest bencher in the gym out of the girls, but one of the newer girls called Kat. She's on your heels, Alison. She's on her way. She did it 85 for 2, I'm pretty sure, and she had 90 kilo in her hands the other day, and like nearly got the 90 kilo bench. She's going to bench 100 kilo soon. I might even be able to get her there this year. So that'll be a huge win. And I'd love, now that you're back on program with me, Alison, I'd love to get you at the 100 this year as well. So maybe we'll have 2 girls benching 100 this year. That'd be amazing. Johnny, when they make a movie about the meteoric rise of bionic strength, who's playing who? Oh God, that's a question. Is this just who I would like to play me? And I mean, I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna have to think and come back to you there. But if you guys have got ideas, whack it in the chat. I want to be played by someone cool, and I don't know, maybe like if we can give Jason Statham like a mohawk and a beard, maybe I don't know. He's pretty cool, isn't he? You know, but he's nowhere near big enough to be me because I'm fucking massive. So yeah, I don't know. We got Vin Diesel as Josh. Yeah, I mean that works. Josh has been like trying to be Vin Diesel for a while with his goggles, so you know maybe we're already on our way there. What we got next? Lloyd, Julian Mills benching over 200. It's amazing work. I mean, there's quite a few girls who will bench over it with shirts on and stuff. So just see if she's benching shirtless first as well, pal. I don't see many girls getting up there who are not wearing a shirt. When a woman has things like PCOS and hypothyroidism, struggling to lose weight, what would be the next step? Their diet is decent, but still not losing weight. Alison, that's a super tough one. They're obviously 2 very different conditions. So with the PCOS pathway, the female's probably got elevated testosterone. So you know that's going to play an impact in what's going on as well. The likelihood is that it's very hard to get them into a consistent deficit. You might have to do smaller blocks of dieting. So maybe like dieting for like really small periods of time, and then like landing into maintenance, and having like a readaptation period, like a reverse diet. You need to keep the metabolism challenged in a way. You don't want it to get excessively dropping off, and then the ability to bounce back would be super super high. So I think my answer maybe to do like more substantial diets that are less sustainable but for shorter blocks of time, rather than this concept of, which is the overall concept in dieting that people generally follow, is that you should just do a consistent diet that you can maintain forever. Rather than that pathway, it might be worth doing something like a bit more crash, a bit less maintainable, followed by a reverse diet if in readaptation period for a short time, and then rinse and repeat. I would maybe give that a go, Alison, and see how you feel with that. Rhino, where do I see myself in 10 years? It's a good question. I'll be very, very honest with you, Bate, and I don't mean this I don't want to turn this super, super morbid, but I always struggle to see myself 10 years down the line. I have a few medical conditions and a lot of health scares on a regular basis that make it hard for me to perceive myself in 10 years, pal. So for myself, my goal is to make as big a mark as I can on life as early as possible and as quick as possible. And maybe that's what fuels some of the decisions I make. So you might notice that sometimes I can make quite what might be perceived as high risk decisions very easily. I'm very motivated to make the biggest impact that I can in a short space of time. As you know, I would love to still be around in 10 years, but like I say, I think everyone's aware with what happened last year, with my sudden death syndrome, and it's happened previous years as well. Things like that. And, I'm on immunosuppressive medication, which, I had sepsis a couple of years back, which put me in a bad place. So I think when you've had lots of these episodes, it can be hard to look 10 years ahead. Where would I like to be if I was capable of doing that? I'm not really capable of doing that. Where I would like to be in the arm wrestling scene. I would like to be the number one in the country and competing predominantly internationally on a big stage. So I would like to really, really be at the top level of my sport. I know I work hard enough to be there. Maybe some of the genetic potential is not there in some capacity, but yeah, I would like to be there. From a business perspective, I would love Bionic to be huge, mate. I want it to be the place for performance sport. I want it to be the name that everybody thinks of when they think of performance sport. That's what I want it to grow into. So I perceive us, maybe not in the gym we are now, but in more like a warehouse or a center that people come from everywhere to come over to, and having multiple sites maybe as well. I want to have an amazing team. I mean, I already have an amazing team around me, but a bigger, amazing team. So I just want the business to grow and grow and grow, mate. So they're probably my two biggest aspirations, are within my sport and within the business. Lisa, what advice would you give to stay out of your own head when you fail a heavier rep? You know what? I love that question. That's something that I contend with as a coach every single week with my clients. So, quite frankly, I'm going to tell you something right now, and I hope anyone who has this thought is listening. I hope you can take it on board, and anyone else that has this. Every single time you do a training session, every week that goes by, you are a different person. All the things that contribute to your performance are different. Your hydration level that happened every day of the week for the last 7 days was probably different than the week before that. The exact amount of calories and intake and what processing your body did of that food is different. Your amount of sleep is different every single day. Your stress levels are different. Your work life is different. You have so many variables that are changing every single day that your performance can never be this linear curve upwards. It's not how it works. My biggest thing to tell you, Lisa, is to understand that and to manage expectations. The things that put you in your own head when you fail that rep is your expectations of yourself, and then it makes you feel like a failure. Or, you know, I can speak for myself, especially. Manage them expectations and understand that the body does not do a linear curve, even if we want it to. Your progress is going to do this and be this big wobbly wavy line, and then hopefully when you put a line of best fit through it, it's slightly graded upwards. But you will not get a PB every week. You will not be as strong as you was the week before every week. It will change and vary. Once you understand and accept this as a normal thing, manage them expectations. It should keep you out of your head when you're doing that, because you can say to yourself, you come to a session, you go, let's see what I've got this week. And then when it doesn't go your way, if it doesn't go your way, you go, right, well, that's just what happened this week, and we'll see what I've got next week. And that's my honest answer and the reality of it. The second thing I can tell you is that 80% of your training sessions are probably going to be non-remarkable. They're probably just going to be like normal sessions where you don't do anything amazing, you don't do anything terrible. And then 10% of your sessions are going to be absolutely horrible and crap and make you want to cry. And 10% of your sessions are going to be absolutely amazing and be like absolutely mind-blowing, which unfortunately means 90% of the time you're probably not over the moon with how you've performed. So live for the wins. Them big days are going to come. Keep being consistent. And the one thing I'm going to tell you from a body perspective is that you don't get weaker very easily when you're consistently training. All that happens is your nervous system gets more sensitive at various times, gets less sensitive at various times, and it lets you access less strength. You've not gotten weaker. For some reason, your body's not letting you access it today, and that's okay. It will let you access it another day. So I hope that helps. Kat, strongman out powerlifting. What's your fave? Strongman every single day. I left powerlifting for two reasons. It's too regimented, the training. You're doing the same thing week in, week out. Of course, you can vary it a little bit and stuff like that, but you're effectively graded on 3 lifts. You only have 3 things that matter to you, and it doesn't matter how good you do on all this other stuff. If one of them or 2 of them 3 lifts are not going your way, it's very easy to be unhappy. Powerlifting makes you strong in a very, very specific place, and they're amazing foundations for other sports. But in terms of fulfillment, I always found that the versatility of strongman made me happier. I prefer it as a sport. I prefer it for athlete training who are not strongmen as well. It teaches you to handle load through a variety of positions and not just a very, very specific position in a very specific shaped load. So yeah, I would say that strongman is my favorite for them reasons, and I preferred competing in strongman as well. I found the support I got from other people within the sport was much, much better than it was in powerlifting. I did meet some amazing people in powerlifting, but my experience in strongman was much better. So that'd be my answer there, Kat. Gods of Grip. Yes, Tom, good to see you, mate. I'm glad you finally got the dumbbell back after it being in my car for 2 weeks, and I massively appreciate you lending it to us for the guys at the gym, mate. Thank you, pal. Cave Troll. Vindy. Oh, we've done that. Johnny was thinking Statham as well. Rhino has given me the best compliment he's ever given anyone in his life and said Tom Hardy playing me. Yeah, he's gonna have to lose a lot of hair, but yeah, definitely. I'm feeling that. Are we planning another strongman event in the future, Chris? Yes, we're done on strongman events this year. I will let you know. We've got Static Monsters confirmed for October. However, I'm not sure it's going to happen, unfortunately. So Static Monsters is a log and a deadlift that's like, graded and put online. But unfortunately, I went in my junk folder of my emails and I found 2 emails from them, which was basically a discussion with the events that are hosting Static Monsters, and they were both at 3 o'clock in the morning, which I'm just not attending. And then I got in touch and basically said, "Are you going to do any of these talks for the people hosting it, like a time that's suitable for other countries?" And basically, can you give me more information on us running it? And they've not got back to me at all. So I think that Static Monsters might not happen, pal. That we've got up currently on the wall at the gym. But anyway, that aside, we do have a strongman event plan for next year. So far, our strongman events has been a beginner's event, which has kind of progressed into somewhat of a novice event the year after. And I would like the following year to progress into like an inters level. So that's my goal for next year, is to do an inters level. And if we have the participation, I would like to do another beginners for some of the newer people as well. So maybe next year we can put 2 events on, an inters and a beginners. That's what I'm thinking, Chris. Cave Troll. What rate of weight loss begins to cause significant performance loss, both acutely in the short term and more mid and long term? Any more than 0.5% body weight per week is the answer to that, Darren. So when we determine a diet and try and maintain high level performance, we try and lose no more than 0.5% body weight per week. And I would only do that maximum for a period of 12 to 16 weeks, depending on the individual. And then I would go into a maintenance phase. The issue that you have comes is when it's someone as an athlete and they need to like make weight, hit a weight class or something, is sometimes you can't follow the rules. But yeah, the answer to your question in a very simple way is more than 0.5% of your body weight per week for a period of excess of 12 to 16 weeks. That's the answer to your question, Darren. But there's reasons why sometimes people don't do that. They stick to them rules. Alison, when you're in a really bad place mentally and consistently fatigued, what's your advice on how to maintain that routine of training and nutrition? I talked earlier about having my minimums, and this question relates directly to that. No matter what I've got going on in my life, I have a minimum amount of sessions and things that I will get done. I decide what their minimums are and what they look like, and then I stick to their minimums. And then on top of that, I have what I consider optional. So my advice, Alison, is decide what are the minimum amount of things you can do, no matter what the problem is, and then always stick to the minimums, no matter what. I suppose there's a level of discipline there as well. That would be my answer to you there. Can I use the pound for pound to prove I'm stronger than all the strong men? Opinions on this? If you're talking about pound for pound, Kat, in terms of how much you weigh per kilo of body weight, how much you lift per kilo of body weight, the answer, unfortunately, is that you're not stronger than all the strong men in the gym. Your deadlift at the moment is about 2.5 times your body weight, and we do have people in the gym who can lift 3 times the body weight. So unfortunately, no, you can't do that because it's not accurate. Ian, Emma's wondering what your favorite strongman lift is. Anything that's overhead pressing. I'm a presser at heart, so Viking press, single arm dumbbell press, log press, anything that's a one arm, anything that is overhead pressing will be my favorite strongman lift. Yeah, that's me. Any secret projects in the work for Bionic that you can hint on, or any things you're planning on doing in the close future? I've mentioned some of the equipment that we're planning. So I've already give that as a bit of notice. We've got more stuff with Diamond Theory coming. So I've already sent them a brief for the next batch of clothing that I want. I told them that once we make £1,000 from the clothing, that the next order's going in. We've got planned hoodies, trackies, women's leggings, and 2 basic t-shirt designs. So potentially 5 items of clothing coming from Diamond Theory for winter. So, yeah, that's, I suppose, it's not a secret. Uh, but yeah, that's one of the plans there. I can't think of anything else. There's certainly no projects that are secret. Me and Josh joke about expanding the gym onto the roof all the time. We've run out of space. We'd love to make access to the roof, so that might be there. What is happening with this dog? Um, but yeah, nothing secret. But if you want to ask anything more specific, you're welcome to. Um, Anecdotally, it seems that strongmen and rugby players have crazy transfer to most other strength athletic things. Are any sports that you've noticed giving that level of general ability? When we talk about transfer, um, you know, we're aware that a lot of the sports are posterior chain dominant. So it's like running, jumping, things like that. These are power athletes. These are fast guys. These are powerful people. So generally, they're going to be able to have some serious acceleration. Their top speed might be okay as well. So they tend to get good transfer. But the reason why them two things are standing out to you, Darren, with strongmen and rugby players is what I touched on before, is that the places that they get strong is everywhere. So they're not strong. Say if we look at bench press, they're not strong just here. Like they're strong here, 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 one arm off to one side. They become strong in every plane of motion, and they can be strong at multiple angles, and at every they get torque through joints at every position. So that versatility is what's letting them cross over to other sports, because when they come into a sport where, for example, they are required to be strong in a particular place, they've already got some development there because the work they've already done. So yeah, the strength from them sports definitely has relative crossover to a lot of sports. Depending what you're doing, athletics does at young ages as well. So you've asked about other sports that I've noticed that. So just like sprinters in general that have nurtured force and power output tend to have very, very good transfer. So when they do that at very young ages, they tend to then be able to be good at a lot of things. Depends what the performance indicator of the sport is. But for a lot of team sports, especially, running speed tends to be a direct performance indicator. So yeah, like anything where you're developing core components, I would say they're mate. But yeah, sprinting, athletics tends to be good ones. Rhino, unlucky cat, nice try. I think her power output's higher than yours, isn't it, pal? You might not be able to say that to her. Cat's power output's definitely not as high as some of the guys, but I think it's higher than yours at the moment. So I'm gonna give her 1 point for that one. No more than that though. Johnny, darts, yeah, highly transferable, mate. You see loads of dart players just like going straight into like basketball, really common. Nathan, why do it sometimes seen people with a large body, um, I don't know what that word is, have an advantage in lifting compared to leaner bodies? Um, we have what's called somatotypes, Nathan. So somatotypes is the general structure of your body. We have what's called an ectomorph that has like narrow hips and narrow shoulders and tends to have longer limbs and be quite tall. They tend to not be the best lifters in the world. They're suited for different activities in terms of like what they're genetically built for. They tend to be better at, things. They tend to be better at activities that are like more long distance running and endurance based activities, and they more commonly have muscle fiber types and energy system prevalence that support that as well. So ectomorphs don't make the best, heaviest lifters. You then have people that are genetically mesomorphs, so wide shoulders, narrow hips. These are your people that tend to be good bodybuilders. So they tend to have the muscle attachment points for bodybuilding, and they tend to be versatile in strength as well. They're like a mid-range. And then the majority of the strongest people in the world are what's called endomorphs, where they have wider hips, wider shoulders. in general. So these people are just thicker people, and they're just bigger humans, and they tend to have like some of the smaller joints are like wider and things as well. So like wrists, ankles, they tend to have more padding around their shoulders, and they can just support and stabilize more load in general. And alongside that, they in general carry more weight around on a daily basis as well. So it's not the fact that they've done anything special. It's just that they're genetically more suited for that as a task. So yeah, endomorphs tend to be the strongest lifters in the world. And then we get some abnormalities from that who are genetic freaks once again. So for example, people like Mariusz Pudzianowski, who resembled more of a mesomorph but got to the top-ended strongman, So you do get some outliers from that rule, but yeah, it tends to be endomorphs. And that's the reason, mate, is that they just built for it. Has anyone lifted the mega blob yet? No. No one has got that mega blob. I've not even seen anyone connect with it, Will. So people grab it and they just kind of like slide around it for a bit, and then it goes absolutely nowhere. So no one has lifted the mega blob. And all I'm saying is I had a terrible go at it, and no one's done better than me. So that makes me probably have the strongest grip in the gym, I imagine. No. However, Will, you can have a go tomorrow when I see you. Friday when I see you. If you're coming, actually, because we're in the morning, aren't we? But Big Ryan is coming on Saturday, who is one of the two people who have picked up the Thomas Inch dumbbell. And yeah, Big Ryan says he's having a go. So if anyone's got a chance after he's picked up the Thomas Inch, it's him. He's coming down on Saturday, so we may or may not get a video of it being lifted or another failure. So the mega blob has not left the ground yet. Cave Troll. Yeah. I think you must have said that before I moved on to it. Cool. I'm not repeating that, Rhino. Rhino is Maximorph. Yeah, you can have that, pal. You become a Maximorph once you go over 150 kilo. I've shook Marius' hand, his wrist about as thick as my neck. Yeah, he's generally a monster. Definitely a genetic freak as well. Nicole didn't cat lift it. I don't know if you saw the very, very, very high level impressive editing of the video, but it was definitely a hoax, and she has fooled the world. Unfortunately, no, Cat did not lift it. I know exactly what she did as well. I think she used the blob attachment that was on the wall and chalked it up a little bit and did a nice video cut there. So, although I think for what she said before, she tricked a lot of the people on her Instagram, which I think says more about her following than anything else, because I don't know how anyone got tricked by that video. Nathan, yeah, but does the genetics have a combination of massive amounts of food and enhancements? Depending what they want to do, mate. So put it this way: when we look at top level sport, everybody you see at the top level, everyone on the world level is genetically gifted. They're all genetically gifted. Okay. And then do they all have amazing work ethic? So they're all at this level, they're all genetically gifted. And then if they've all got the same work ethic, they're all there. And then the drugs start to happen. And if, say, like half of them start to take drugs, then the level becomes there. And then these can't get there because they're just as gifted as the others and they work just as hard as the others. So then they kind of take the drugs to get there too and make it a level playing field. And then it becomes what we see in bodybuilding nowadays, I think, where it becomes the dosage battle. Who can take the most drugs and substances and things like that and still be alive? So yes, enhancements is a factor, Nathan, because at the top level, everyone is gifted. Everyone has the right genetics. Everyone has the best coaching. Everyone's working hard, and then the substances start to mean a little bit more, and the strategy in the competition means a lot as well. People undervalue strategy in competitions too, so that starts to mean a massive amount as well. I now feel seen too. Yep, I see you, pal. I see you. Nothing nasty though, mate. I'm only playing. Yep, Zena's only made a small appearance today. She's roaming around the room. And Will, you're coming for the Mega Blob. I want to see it, pal. If I'm not there, send me a video. I want everyone to try it. Get me some videos of the Mega Blob, even if it's your failures. And I want to eventually see it get lifted. But I'm happy seeing the failures as well. All right. Right, guys. Any last questions before we wrap this stuff up? I think it's been pretty successful. We've had over 20 people in here all night. Quite a lot of questions. Nice, busy chat. So I've enjoyed it. Thank you, guys. Right. No more questions. Let's wrap this stuff up. Well, big thank you for everyone attending. Drop me any messages. Let me know what you think. If you want me to do it again other weeks, let me know. I'm happy to jump on here every week if we want to do it. But overall, it was fun. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Laters.